I first saw Roots, the miniseries, when I was about, 35 years old, which is, kind of late. And it just awakened me to want to study history before slavery and after slavery. And one of the things that prompted me to really have knowledge and want to know knowledge about my people is this book here. It's called Brainwashed. You can clearly see everybody can make out that Shaquille O'Neal on the cover. And it talks about how, curses, how we're just reasons as to why we're falling behind. You need to read the book to really process what they're talking about. And I remember I was on Facebook at the time. I was really heavy into Facebook around 2010. And there was a couple kids, white kids that I grew up with that I knew since 91, some before then. And I put I posted on their wall, if you've ever been wondering why we as black people are always at the bottom and can never get our ish together, you need to read this book. And when I posted that on their page, they were actually on Facebook. They were on literally in real time. They were on and they got off because it scared them. In 1991, I was not talking about no black empowerment, being the chosen people of God. I was not talking like that. And to hear me talking like this, to some kids that knew me as a kid who really wouldn't even want to discuss race. We never really talked about it, but I was looked at as one of the good ones back then. And to hear me talking like this, it startled them because, okay, he's coming into his own. He knows about himself. So by default, he must know about us too. And it scared them. Like and that's another thing. When I told them they need to read this book and find out about it, white people are not interested in our struggles. They're not interested in why we're at the bottom. They just care that we are at the bottom, which allows them to be at the top for now. But nonetheless, that kind of, I wouldn't say broke my spirit, but it surprised me a lot to know that white people didn't have a concern with our plight. But it makes sense now. And another tangent, when Michael Jackson died, I remember reaching out to a black Facebook friend saying, have you noticed that these W people, they're not showing concern for Michael Jackson like we are? And she was like, basically he was one of us. So why would they show concern when one of us die? Just like we don't show that much concern when one of they die, like Hulk Hogan on them. I'm trying to think of the last, the Caucasian that passed away that I actually felt for. Sylvester Stallone's still here, so I might feel something for him. But the Mark Hamills or the Harrison Fords, I didn't feel nothing when they left. But nonetheless, it frightens them. Yeah, like I noticed that I get a lot of looks of, I can't stand him when I ain't done nothing to these people. It's because the mere presence of this color right there, it enforces the W's inferiority and further establishes our superiority because you can't get light from the dark. Light came out of the dark when Earth was created. So there's no way that something integral as the sun that actually gives energy. If you're black and you want to piss a white person off, whenever they complain about the heat, you say it to where you don't understand it, but you really know where it's coming from, but you act like you don't know. Yeah, for some strange reason, I seem to get energy from the sun. I don't know what it is. Every time I'm out in the sun, my body just says, give me more, give me more. They won't like that. They won't. But they can't deny the fact that the sun hates them and the sun loves us. Over there in Israel, they've got a huge breakout of melanoma that they don't talk about because it'll come out. Why are these people they're being cursed too because they're trying to pretend they're imposters. So the Most High is punishing them by putting severe cases of extreme cases of melanoma. And they also had a measles outbreak up in New York a couple years back during the pandemic that they squashed. So, they're being cursed by the Most High for impersonating his people. And you're just tired of it. That's all. But getting back to the Esau, the Edomites that were afraid, this one kid, Danny Hartnett. And I love Danny Hartnett. I remember hanging out with him the night George Foreman and Evander Holyfield fought for the heavyweight title. I think that was April 19th, 1991. That's exactly when it was. And I remember we went over his house. We watched the preliminaries, the all the fights. We hung out. We put stuffed animals on our hands and like boxed each other. One of the greatest nights of my life. You tell me that I would tell Danny Hardnett that he can't cling to Israel? See, now what it is, see, what it really comes down to is that you're going to have white people who don't want to admit that we're the chosen people of God and don't want to acknowledge that they are inferior to us, and they will fight that and die on the hill. That I'm fine with that. But there are actually white people that will cleave to Israel and be like, look, I realize y'all are the most chosen people or God's chosen people, and I want to be close to you so I can be close to the Creator. You're not going to get closer to the Creator on your own. You need us to do it. So it's certain W people that I don't have a problem with leading them to the Most High or letting them cling to me. But if they want to be, stubborn and deliberate, and does it make sense that they get mad that we're superior to them genetically and everything, but they made a system to where they're inferior or they're superior to us and they got a nerve to be mad about it? Nah, don't work like that. But yeah, get that book, Brainwashed, and read that, and you'll enlighten yourself.